That's prompt number 2. What role does reflection play in your own instructional practice? According to Matthew et al., reflection is where people learn from their own professional experiences rather than from formal learning or knowledge transfer. I implement reflection in my instruction by reflecting on each lesson and coming up with ideas on how I can make it better for the next time that I teach it. I may change the vocabulary that I used or completely change an independent practice. Sometimes I have to bring down or bring up the rigor, just depending on the level of my students. And reflection is a continuous process in education. I'm reflecting every day throughout the lesson. Sometimes we totally change gears right in the middle of the lesson, just depending on the student's understanding. How do you utilize peer experts in becoming a better teacher? The first way is I converse with the veteran teachers on my team. I have teachers that I work with that have been teaching for 6 years. I have teachers that I work with that have been teaching for 16 years. So they are very knowledgeable and they have a lot of amazing resources. And if I'm stuck or confused about how to teach something or how to grasp the concept myself, I will ask them, and they are always more than willing to help. They are more than willing to assist and share their resources, whatever I need to make me the best teacher I can be so that the students can learn. The second way is I attend various professional development opportunities. I attend these trainings so that I can grow my knowledge in content, strategies, tools, and technology, and many other aspects that people would not think is vital for educators to have. We do every other month or so, there is a day set aside in the month for teachers to be able to attend trainings. And it's very beneficial because we are able to learn not just about content, but about behaviors and disabilities and different things like that, mental health, just how to approach that in the classroom and with our kiddos. And it's very amazing. I'm really glad that we get that opportunity. And lastly, I appreciate and apply the feedback I receive from my professors and classmates throughout this program. I have been able to have good conversations with other students and critique one another's assignments or lesson plans. Excuse me. And we've just been able to make each other better. In what capacity does your prior knowledge and student experience influence your own growth as a teacher? I grew up in education and around educators. Both of my parents worked in the school system. My dad has been an administrator for as long as I can remember, and my mom was always a parapro or in the media center. And it really just sparked my interest in teaching, and it gave me the heart to pour into the kids that had little to no support outside of school. And seeing that kids come from different environments, and being aware of that from such an early age, it really helped me to have an understanding of that and be an understanding teacher who is able to support and love her students when they don't get assignments done or when they show up late or they're falling asleep in class. And in turn, this has helped me create amazing relationships with each of my students because they know that I care about them and that I love them and that I see what they're going through. And that encourages them to work harder and to be the best that they can be. They enjoy learning from me because they know I will correct them in a way that is loving and not demeaning. I have high expectations in my classroom, and all students are held to those, but it doesn't, they see it as they're loved. They have a goal to achieve, and they want to do that. They want to make me proud. The lesson that I chose to reflect on is one on addition and subtraction. I taught this lesson using place value to aid in 3-digit addition and subtraction problems. I taught this as a first-year teacher while I was trying to get in the groove, second semester of my first year, preparing for my master's degree and, life on top of that. So this was a really big time for me in my life, and I was learning lots of new things. And while this lesson was not terrible, I reflected on it, and there are plenty of things that I could do better. And the standard that it is based on is Part 2.1, fluently add and subtract within 1,000 to solve problems, and the student's goals, where I can use place value understanding and the properties of operations when adding and subtracting large numbers, and I can use a variety of strategies when adding and subtracting within 1,000. How successful were you at addressing all learners in your classroom? I was not the best at addressing my lower level kids or my ELLs. I was using academic vocabulary such as part whole strategies, not even just that, but like unknown. What is the unknown factor? What is the unknown total, or what is the unknown in your problem? HTO without any context and no explanation or modeling of what this looks like. And I just expected every student to understand and solve the problem easily. What I should have done is taken the time to talk about what those mean, talk about the strategies, introduce the strategies, and model them and what I expected to see from the students, not just kind of throw it out there and expect them to just do it. What strategies worked and did not work within the lesson in your instructional time? One thing that did work was using the hundreds, tens, and ones chart. And students draw a chart, and there's a hundreds column, a tens column, and a ones column, and they represent the number, each place value with that number. So your hundreds, you would do squares. So for 351, you would draw 3 squares in the hundreds column. For the tens, there are 5, so you would draw 5 sticks in the column, in the tens column. And then for the ones, there's just 1 1, and so they would do 1 dot in the ones column. Expanded form was another successful strategy. This is where the numbers are decomposed into their place value, so like 300 plus 50 plus 1, and it's an easier way for the students to see when there are too many numbers in a one place value, that you would have to regroup and carry that. A strategy that did not work very well was the traditional algorithm. They were not able to see why you couldn't have more than 9 in the ones place or more than 99 in the tens place. They were not, or more than 90 in the tens place. They were not catching on. They were not able to grasp the concept of regrouping. How did your strategies for integration work within the lesson? What changes would you make to ensure multiple content areas were covered more successfully? When I originally taught this lesson, I did not integrate another content area. When I reteach this lesson, I'm going to incorporate word problems that are tied to our current STEM project. I could also incorporate read alouds. Excuse me. I could get my students to write a reflection paragraph on what they learned in the lesson to tie in writing standards. So my second time around, my reflections, what was successful in this lesson? I began this lesson by previewing academic vocabulary and modeling the expectations I had for the students. It made a tremendous difference in their understanding, and my students they were also able to use their year-long STEM project to take data on the school's recycling and create word problems that match their data. How prevalent was cultural diversity and community engagement within your planning and presentation? I provided my EL students with vocabulary cards that were written in both English and Spanish with a picture that matched the definition. I also incorporated student names and realistic scenarios with some of the word problems. And I also incorporated the community by getting the data from the STEM project and involving other third grade classes in taking this data. So they all are a part of STEM. It's a special, and so they all were able to take part in taking and collecting that data. And I believe this was successful because my students were very engaged. They had shown understanding of the content. They were able to kind of get their hands on what they were going to learn. So they knew that they were taking this data and we were going to do something with it. What level of student engagement existed in both iterations, and how might you continue to alter this for future classes? I believe that in both lessons, both iterations of this lesson, students were engaged. However, they were definitely more engaged the second time. I believe that this was because I geared it more towards their interests. And they were able to apply it to their lives because it was something that they did. Next time, I could continue to alter this by allowing students to use a hands-on method. So still maybe keep the HTO chart, but give them base 10 blocks or counters so they can do it with their hands. What changes were there in student engagement? Did student learning change as a result of the revised lesson? My students learned, their learning changed tremendously this time around. I do think that this is because I was better equipped with the tools and strategies to help every type of learner. I knew what worked last time and I knew what didn't work. I had more experience, and I also made it more personal and provided them with scenarios that they could relate to with the data that we took in our STEM. Okay, a summary of the entire learning experience. Overall, my students did a great job learning addition and subtraction with the 3-digit numbers. There were still students that struggled quite a bit. I'm going to use just some initials instead of names, but EM did a great job and caught on to the concept almost immediately. EA, however, she struggled, excuse me, she struggled throughout the whole lesson and she didn't fully understand the concept by the end of the lesson. Oh. EM needs to be challenged. She needs larger numbers with more difficult scenarios, and I will enrich her during small groups and take her above grade level so that she is able to grow in her knowledge. But EA needs remediation during small groups. I will provide her with smaller numbers to practice there and to build her confidence and bring her back up to grade level. I do believe that part of her errors are because she is going too fast because she doesn't want to be the last one done. Here is some of EM's work. She did a great job of showing her work. She correctly aligns her place value with each number. She showed how she carried and distributed the place value while adding and subtracting. She's shown that she's ready for a more difficult task. She does need to write her answer in a complete sentence. One she did, one she did not. This was her formative assessment after the lesson, and she did a great job. This confirms she's ready for enrichment. She has mastered it at a grade level standard. Now, this is EA. She did a great job at aligning the place values, but she made simple errors. In the first problem, she was supposed to subtract the two numbers, but she added them, and she circled the word more, and that shows that she had a misconception of what that meant in this problem. And in the second problem, she miscarried the hundred to the hundreds place. This lets me know that she does not understand the thousands place value, and she needs to be retaught how to carry over 100 from the tens place. This is her formative assessment, and it shows me that she needs remediation and reteaching of this skill. She is speeding through her work and not taking the time to think about the next steps and how to solve the problem. She made multiple careless mistakes on this one. And she still is adding the problem when she's supposed to subtract. She got confused on place value again when having to go to the thousands place, so she's going to need some one-on-one intervention. This is a link to my taught lesson and my reflection over this graduate program so far. It has been very enjoyable. I have found every course profound and, to be frank, worth my time. The one I have enjoyed the most is the one I'm currently taking, and it's called The Young Child's Home and Community. I have been able to research the effects of emotional abuse and the long-term effects it has on children. It has been eye-opening and has helped me understand why some students act the way that they do, but has also equipped me with tools and strategies to teach to my students to help them through these situations. Over the summer, I took a science course. This was my least favorite because it felt the most rushed and busy, as in like busy work. I did not have much opportunity to collaborate or talk with my peers. I felt like the work was very surface level and just not related to science and education, to be honest. Overall, I feel like I have obtained a tremendous amount of knowledge throughout my time here, but I am ready for graduation in May. And there's my references.